Desperate, Jed Ward clutched the terrified, pregnant Apache woman to his back as he raced along the sun-bleached canyon road, astride two tired horses with grim resolve. Soldiers' shouts boomed behind them, each breath a struggle for air. His own heart thundered in his throat. 2 days earlier, Jed had made a promise. Her life was worth more than his own. But now, darkness and revenge blocked their only path. Could his mercy cost him everything? 48 hours had passed since he found her. Now all seemed lost at last. Dawn broke over Bitter Springs, a dusty frontier town strung along a dry creek. Jed Ward pushed open the tavern's bat-wing doors. He smelled coffee and whiskey, and every eye in the room fixed on him. He stepped outside and spotted trouble. Two red-eyed cowboys had grabbed an Apache woman by the arms at the corral. Her belly swelled round beneath a ripped shawl, and she spat curses in her language. Jed's reflexes took over. He caught the bruised arm of one cowboy and shoved the woman aside. The second cowboy drew a knife with a harsh grin. "Release her!" Jed roared. The first cowboy aimed a rifle, but Jed fired first. Dust exploded around the saloon's wooden posts, splinters flying like embers. The cowboys staggered backward, surprise breaking on their faces. The men bolted, spurring their horses toward the hills. Jed turned to the woman. "You're safe now," he said. Her terrified eyes were wet. She clutched the blood-smeared wooden flute at her chest. "Why help me?" she whispered. Jed kept his voice quiet. Nobody deserves to die from greed or fear. He swung the woman onto his horse gently, wrapping her arms around his waist. As hoofbeats faded from town, the morning sun burned wet sage on the breeze. Jed's gloves smelled of sweat and pine needles. A hawk cried overhead. Ahead, a shadow moved on the ridge. Jed spotted a patrol of cavalry cresting the hill, about a dozen men in gray. "Cowards! After them!" one trooper shouted. Jed's heart lurched. "We need to ride fast," he whispered. The woman nodded and braced herself. They galloped into a grove of cedars as black clouds gathered above. How would they outrun the coming storm? Watch to see if they outrun the storm. Moonlight carved pale lines across Doc Emmett's cabin in a pine grove. Jed limped inside with Kaya, every muscle aching. The cabin smelled of sage and bacon grease, and the light of a single lantern danced on rough boards. Doc Emmett, once a boisterous army surgeon, and now Jed's oldest friend, appeared in the doorway. "You brought her through," he said softly. Inside, Doc moved with careful urgency. He washed Kaya's bruised arm by lantern light. Kaya winced at each touch. Outside, distant thunder growled low, and a pine scent rode the damp air. Doc wrapped Kaya in blankets. "That patrol is right on your trail," he warned quietly. "Some will kill for helping her." Jed's jaw clenched. Kaya tightened her grip on the carved wooden flute. A flash of lightning lit the cabin. A rifle shot shattered the hush. Doc howled as a bullet tore through the wall and struck his shoulder. Kaya screamed. Jed dove to her side as the lantern flame danced wildly in fear. Colonel Crowe and his troopers poured in. Crowe barked, "Surrender!" Jed's voice thundered. "Run!" he roared. In one fluid motion, Jed drew his Colt and fired. Dust erupted around Crowe's men. 2 troopers went down as wood splintered under lead. Crowe snarled, "He'll pay for this!" The cavalry surged back. Jed grabbed Kaya's arm. "Go now!" Kaya scrambled to her feet. The horse bolted into the storm. Jed vaulted on and urged her after. Behind them, Doc Emmett lay groaning in the lamplight. Thunder rolled like distant drums as they disappeared into darkness. Would the dawn find them alive? Dawn found Jed and Kaya beside a narrow creek in a pine glade. Kaya leaned against a sun-warmed rock as Jed built a small fire. The air smelled of damp earth and cedar. The creek babbled under the morning sun. They ate jerky and drank water. Kaya wrapped her blanket tighter. Jed offered coffee. She sipped slowly. Morning light revealed a white dove embroidered on her skirt. "I'm Kaya Tule," she said. "I had to flee my tribe. I'm carrying a silver miner's child. Their chief thinks the baby is cursed and sent hunters for me." Jed's jaw tightened. He remembered tales of the tribal chief. "I was once an outlaw, too, in the Caldwell gang," he murmured. Rafe Caldwell was like a brother. After his own brother died, Rafe wanted vengeance on the world. "I walked away after too much killing. I swore never to kill again." Across the creek, the only sound was a distant hawk calling. Kaya touched the wooden flute at her belt. "We both carry scars," she said. "When you hummed that song, I felt my mother's presence." Jed realized the lullaby was one of healing and peace for her people. Kaya smiled. "Thank you," she whispered. Jed shook his head. "I couldn't have left you." He placed a hand on her belly. The baby kicked softly. Kaya winced through the pain. Hoofbeats thundered in the distance. Jed's hand went to his colt. He smothered the fire with dirt. "We have to move," he said urgently. Kaya nodded. A long shadow fell over the glade as a lone rider crested the ridge. Jed's heart skipped. The rider was tall and silent, hat pulled low against the dawn. Friend or foe? The morning breeze had no answer. Storms rolled down the canyon. Heavy rain hammered the ridge as Jed and Kaya rode. The wind tore at Kaya's shawl. They found shelter under a rock ledge. Jed struck flint and lit a fire that cracked as pine smoke rose in the damp air. The chief's eyes burned. The Apaches charged. Spears and arrows flew. Jed pushed Kaya down as an arrow hissed past. He fired twice. Lead spat through the rain. A spear thudded at his foot. Kaya stumbled aside, heart pounding. Crowe's cavalry thundered up the trail. Colt fire and Sioux cries mixed in the storm. The war chief bellowed and waved his men back. Kaya seized her flute and played an Apache lullaby. Her voice rose in the downpour, pure and calm. The war chief's glare faded. Crowe stared. The torrential rain obscured all reason. At last the war party halted. Crowe lowered his rifle and eyed Jed's colt and Kaya's face. He nodded once. "Go," he said quietly. Jed lifted Kaya onto his horse. She hung on as the rain eased. In the distance, the war party retreated into darkness. Kaya touched her flute to her lips once more. Dawn was coming, but would it bring safety or danger? Dawn filtered through the mountain pass. Jed and Kaya rode up the trail. Colonel Crowe blocked their path, scouts lined with rifles behind him. Crowe glared. "No one crosses here," he snarled. Kaya pressed tight to Jed. A tall man with a sun-bleached vest stepped out from the scouts. Jed's throat went dry. It was Rafe Caldwell, Jed's former partner. "Jed Ward!" Rafe spat angrily. Kaya gasped. Rafe leveled a pistol at Kaya's belly. Jed yelled, "No!" and fired a warning shot. Kaya screamed as Rafe clutched his chest, bleeding. The scouts tensed. Crowe stepped forward. "Drop it!" he barked. Jed lowered his colt. Rafe slumped to one knee, wounded. Kaya ran to Jed's side, fear in her eyes. Jed's voice shook. "I won't let you hurt her." He kept the colt down. Rafe spat blood and staggered away. The troopers exchanged uneasy glances. Crowe finally spoke. "Lower your weapons." Jed holstered his gun. Rafe lunged with a blade. Jed fired above him. Troopers pinned Rafe to the rock. Crowe stepped aside. "Go," he said quietly. Kaya slid from the horse and clung to Jed. The sky was bright blue, but clouds of fate still gathered. He had kept his promise, but at what cost? Late morning sun warmed the pass. Jed led Kaya and the mare forward. The 200 scouts parted in silence. Colonel Crowe waited. Kaya steadied her breathing. Jed drew himself tall. He said quietly, "I come seeking mercy, not to fight. She is pregnant, carrying a son. I saved her life. If you harm her, I'll face the consequences alone." Kaya hid behind Jed's leg, clutching her flute. A scout mumbled, "This is the outlaw who killed our men." Crowe held up a hand. He acted in chaos. "Let her pass." A low murmur went through the line. Jed lifted his colt off his hip. Kaya stepped forward. "We offer no threat," Jed continued. "That baby hasn't done anything wrong. Turn back the clock on hate." Kaya raised the flute and began a soft lullaby. The melody drifted among the scouts and Apache guides alike. Crowe watched Kaya's face. The young woman was calm and tired. His rifle lowered. Around him, the tight circle of warriors relaxed. Kaya finished the song. Not a single shot was fired. The pass opened. Crowe called, "Go, now!" Jed gave a sharp nod. Kaya climbed onto her horse. Jed dusted the flute and tucked it into his belt. He let out a slow breath. They rode down the sunlit trail, leaving the scouts behind. Kaya rested her hand on her growing belly. Jed felt the canyon air fill his lungs and closed his eyes. He had kept his promise, but at what cost? The desert gave way to rolling hills at last. The morning after, Jed and Kaya rode along a narrow valley with the flute tucked in Jed's pouch. The sun was warm, the tension from the pass already fading. Kaya's hand rested on her stomach as the baby kicked. She managed a small smile. Jed guided the mare along the trail. He was exhausted but relieved. After nights of fear, there was at last a sense of peace. Kaya spoke softly. "We made it, Jed. We're safe." Jed nodded, though he still felt the weight of all that had happened. He reached down to steady her foot in the stirrup. The wooden flute lay on his belt, a reminder of the mercy they had shown each other. In the late afternoon, they came to a peaceful Apache spring. Water gurgled clear over stones. Kaya dismounted and knelt by the pool, splashing cool water on her face. The reflection in the water showed tears, tears of gratitude and exhaustion. Jed walked to her side and sat quietly. The old flute caught the sunlight. Kaya brushed wet sand from her skirt, then carefully played a few soft notes. The melody drifted through the grove. A gentle breeze stirred the leaves. Jed closed his eyes, letting the music wash over him. "Thank you," Jed said at last, voice low. Kaya placed a hand on his and smiled weakly. "You saved more than just me," she replied. The war was over for now. Father and mother, protector and child. Two survivors against all odds. As dusk fell, Jed started a small fire. Kaya hummed softly while he cooked what little remained of their food. The air smelled of sage and cedar, and the flame cast dancing shadows. Above, two hawks circled in the crimson sky. They spoke little as the stars appeared. In the quiet that followed, Jed gazed at the sky. He wondered how many nights he would lie awake, listening for wolves. Kaya drifted to sleep against him, trusting him with her life. Jed held her hand and the flute tightly. He had chosen the right path, but would this peace last? The next day, Jed and Kaya found refuge in an abandoned cabin hidden in the foothills. Smoke curled gently from the fallen chimney. Someone long gone had lit a fire here. Kaya clutched the wooden flute. Jed offered her water and a pinch of dried herbs Doc had insisted she keep for strength. The morning air was cool. Kaya sat by the dwindling fire as Jed fetched water from a nearby stream. He scanned the hills on all sides. The forest held no sign of pursuit. Kaya's belly had grown heavy, and Jed realized the child could come at any time. Still, she smiled when he returned. As night fell, Kaya pressed back the blanket and settled inside the cabin. The first stars appeared. Jed sat on the porch, listening to Kaya's steady breathing. Suddenly, Kaya stirred. In the faint firelight, her face was calm and expectant. Kaya spoke softly. "It's time." Jed helped her lie down on a bed of pine boughs. He removed her boots gently. Kaya placed a hand on his. "Thank you," she whispered again. Jed gripped her hand tightly. He held the lantern high as Kaya gave birth to a healthy boy. Her exhausted smile came before tears. Jed wrapped the baby in a scrap of cloth. The boy's cry echoed in the quiet night. Kaya's eyes welled with joy. She named her son Thunderhawk, after the bird that had protected her. Jed carefully placed the carved wooden flute in the baby's tiny hand. "Your life was saved by mercy," he said gently. Jed dressed Thunderhawk in the spare cloth they carried. Every small movement reminded him of the vow he had broken for mercy. He found an old saddlebag and gently placed the flute beside the baby as he finally drifted into a peaceful sleep. Above, the moonlight filtered through the cabin's broken chimney, and Jed realized that even in darkness, a new life had given them hope. Jed finally closed his eyes, the flute warm on his chest, and allowed himself to rest. Would any dawn ever bring them true safety? He had saved a life, but mercy demanded its price. Stay tuned for the conclusion.